a private donor paid $130 million in order for the military to get a check because Trump and the Republicans have decided to shut down the government, stopping their money, earned money, and the earned money of many individuals. Well, that donor has some dubious connections, possibly to Epstein. Let's get into it. Put him up full mass. We got the background. Update: donor with connections to the president. An unnamed donor gave $130 million to the Pentagon to help pay U.S. service members during the government shutdown. The mysterious donor has now been identified as Timothy Mellon, a banking heir with ties to RFK. Before I proceed on the background and the complicated nature of this whole thing, please understand individuals who are connected to banking enterprises, they're not giving a donation to the Department of Defense or any other federal agency. They are making a payment for an ROI, that's a return on investment. There's some promise typically that has been made. I do not have all of the details. I just have circumstantial evidence. So let's go through it. So the U.S. defense officials confirmed the gift, they are calling it, which President Donald Trump said will make up for the shortfalls, paying the country's 1.32 million service members, but declined to identify the donor. That's already dangerous right there. And let's be very clear. This banker should have absolutely no access to do this without revelation or at least public transparency, and is not his responsibility. You know why? Because you already paid the tab. You already paid the tab. Your tax dollars already took care of the military budget this fiscal year. So it's not his responsibility. And given the current enterprising relationship that this administration has with for-profit ventures, I highly doubt this was on the up and up. We may never know what it was truly about. I guarantee you this: he's not going to give you another $130 million. Timothy Mellon, a reclusive billionaire, they call him, who has donated tens of millions of dollars to support Trump in past campaigns, is reportedly the anonymous donor who gave the government $130 million to help pay troops during the ongoing Republican-led government shutdown. Billionaire, a railroad magnate, and heir to a prominent banking and political family, has decided to not publicly claim a role in any donation. Donald Trump revealed the anonymous donation Thursday, describing it as coming from a friend and patriot. Quote, "He doesn't really want the recognition," Trump said at a roundtable event. Mellon, who Forbes estimated last year had a net worth near $1 billion, is among the country's most prolific donors to Republican causes. During the 2024 campaign, he donated $100 million to groups supporting Trump and Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s presidential campaigns. Follow the money. Mellon's donations during the election were among the largest single contributions ever disclosed. So he's the guy. He's the guy. He's reclusive, they say. That means he just wants the money to work without his face on it. But the money works for him. If you believe that he's giving this money out of the goodness of his heart or because he has some political ideology of conservative values, That would make him the dumbest businessman in the world. If he's giving money and doesn't expect anything in return, he would be an idiot. While he may be corrupt, an idiot, no. There's more. Little is known about what is motivating the businessman's donation. During the 1970s, he reportedly supported liberal causes, including feminism, environmentalism, Native American advocacy, though his politics appear to have swung to the right in the recent years. He once compared climate change scientists to a terror group, according to the New York Times. He has donated millions to Children's Health Defense, Kennedy's anti-vaccine group. Some are saying that he has ties to Epstein. Here it is.
But here's where the story gets weird. His father, Paul Mellon, is listed in the Epstein flight logs. He's logged twice, so it appears he flew on the plane multiple times. You can see it's labeled JE for Jeffrey Epstein, then it's Paul Mellon, and then 2 females listed both times. And it gets even weirder because the Bank of New York Mellon, where he's obviously connected, was recently sued by a woman who was abused by Epstein, alleging that the banks knowingly provided financial services that enabled him to conduct his operation for years. So these are the people that Donald Trump is friends with. And maybe this donation was kind of like a thank you for not releasing the Epstein files.
Or possibly he prepaid for a pardon. In his biography, Mr. Mellon referred to social safety programs as, quote, slavery redux, and alleged that African Americans' votes were bought by Democrats promising them freebies. Let me say something about that. That would mean this individual believes that somehow Black people vote because of handouts. Need I remind people who think like him, the vast majority of Black folk are actually employed. The vast majority of Black people have either skill training, tech training, or higher education training in the United States of America, the vast majority. Democratic policies seek to provide equitable outcomes by way of expense variation, meaning what you're able to possibly write off on your taxes, what you're able to have access to through healthcare affordably. These things give you more money at the end of the day. That's called a smart voter. That's not a freebie whatsoever. The freebies are the corporate welfare programs that provide the top 1% an opportunity at a freebie, another freebie, and a freebie on top of the freebie. Those are the freebies. You have folk in Mississippi who are rich, stealing money from the poorest state in the United States of America and getting away with it. Those are freebies. There's more. The Pentagon confirmed the anonymous donation Friday, saying it had accepted the funds under its, quote, general gift acceptance authority, end quote. The donation was made on the condition that it be used to offset the cost of service members' salaries and benefits, said Sean Parnell. That's the chief spokesperson for the Pentagon. Quote, we are grateful for this donor's assistance after Democrats opted to withhold pay from troops. Guys, listen, the gig is up, man. It's not working. Okay? Every moment, every opportunity at the media, they try to pivot it back. Just the Democrats' fault. Okay. Observers expressed concern the donation might not be legal. It could run afoul of the Anti-Deficiency Act, which bars federal agencies from spending money in excess of their congressional appropriations or accepting voluntary services. Seems kind of clear cut here. Quote, whether the government is or is not lawfully paying the troops' salaries can't depend on this gift. David Super, a professor of law and economics at Georgetown University Law Center, told the Federal News Network, quote, it has to depend on whether there is another appropriation available for this cost. And I don't think there is. And if there isn't, then they can take the gift and hold it, but they can't spend it without approval of Congress. Why does the Anti-Deficiency Act exist? It exists so that people like Timothy here cannot de facto purchase the United States government by way of paying appropriations during a shutdown. That's one cause and effect of it. It's still unknown if troops are about to miss another paycheck come November 1st. Trump on October 11th directed Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth to pay service members mid-month paychecks by using $8 billion in previously appropriated Pentagon funds meant for research, development, and evaluation. It's called RDT&E. But the pay cycle cost roughly $6.5 billion, leaving only $1.5 billion left over for the looming October 31st payday, which is expected to cost $6 billion to $7 billion, according to Todd Harrison, a senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute. More military families are turning to food banks as the government shutdown continues on the armed services. YMCA is seeing a 30 to 75% surge in demand nationwide. Organizations, churches, etc., they are rushing to figure out ways to feed service members and their families. Here it is.
Hey everyone, it's Shannon with MBAN. I am here at Emoja's warehouse where they are packing thousands of emergency meal kits for military families. In just 72 hours, we had over 50,000 military families apply for support. And we are counting on everyone to really lean in and help us meet this incredible moment. Military families are rightfully nervous. They're concerned about what might happen if they miss their pay. And for the Guard and Reserve community, they did miss pay.
They're not the only one. Federal workers all across the United States of America have missed their pay. Federal contractors who aren't even counted as federal employees miss their pay. A nonprofit that provides support and assistance to military families told ABC News that they've seen a 30 to 75% jump in demand at its food banks near military bases since the shutdown began. As military personnel go without pay while the funding impasse wears on, the ASYMCA in Texas near Fort Hood told ABC News that they've seen a 60% spike in military families seeking food at their location. It's double taxation. Not only have we paid the taxes to make sure the budget is there, the people who are suffering have already paid the taxes to make sure the budget is there. And now everyone is pulling together to take care of these families because we have a heart, unlike the current administration. So we're being taxed again on something that's already paid. So it's not enough that they take 30 to 40% of your earnings. They don't have the wherewithal, the conviction, the moral fortitude to do right by you. And so they pull at our heartstring because we have hearts and they do not. I was at church on Sunday. At the end of service, I visited this church, man. And at the end of service, they do announcements. And in the announcements, the woman gets up. We just got finished singing, having a great service. People are celebrating. The woman gets up to make the announcement. And the only announcement she had was, if you are a federal worker and you have been impacted by the shutdown, we want you to line up over here. You don't have to be a member. We want you to line up. If you need some help, you've been working for the federal government and you don't have money right now to feed your family, we need you to line up over here. Then they dismissed us. That church took it upon themselves to reach into their budget, to reach into their savings in order to take care of families, some of whom they have never met and probably will never see again. You see, people like that should be in charge of our money. People like that who actually can connect to the social economic disaster that's happening in front of them. Donald Trump doesn't have a single friend in the world who's feeling the pain like we are. All right, Sharon, thoughts here.
Boy, you said so much. Leave it to the good people, everyday Americans, churchgoers, marginalized communities to have a conscience, to care, to not be able to look away. But you know who doesn't care? Of course, Trump. And I think he said his name is Timothy. This is not some kind of altruistic donation. Doesn't give a damn. If he did, he would not even be speaking to the Trump administration. He'd be speaking out against them. The same administration that, if we believe the Kentucky governor, Bashir, is saying, we're ending SNAP even though we have some more money, and you better not step in to help. That's who we're dealing with here. And by the way, when, Doc, as you mentioned, not even sure it's legal, this donation gets kind of turned around some way, it won't be like campaign finance and things where you have to give the money back. That money ain't going back to him. It's going in somebody's bank account. You dig?
Yep, that's right. And whatever deal they have made on top of this deal, believe me, a banker doesn't invest $130 million to get back zero. That's guaranteed. All right, we'll bring you updates as they come.